Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is set to deliver the budget speech 3.0 today in Parliament. This is a third attempt at tabling the Fiscal Policy Framework for 2025 after two failed starts and a mounting economic crisis. SABC News' economics editor, Tshepo Mongoai, is in a very cold and rainy Cape Town. My goodness, Tshepo, it looks freezing there. We were looking at a long shot of the wet streets, the cold environment, but I think it's going to be anything but cold once that budget is delivered by the Finance Minister. Talk to us. What are we expecting?
Yeah, absolutely. It's still very cold. Hopefully the budget this afternoon will warm things up. We already seen the rand, of course, quite firm at around 17 rand 88. Factor in some positive news to come out of the budget. Last week we've seen rating agencies, of course, announcing the review on South Africa. Three rating agencies have maintained South Africa at sub-investment grade, of course, raising a number of concerns that this budget needs to look into. High unemployment is one of the issues that they are very much concerned about, and we do know that government in the previous not so successful budget indicated that there will be over R1 trillion available over the next 3 years to deal with issues of infrastructure. They've been accelerated by operations, particularly first phase of Operation Vulundlela, where there's been a lot of prioritization of some of the infrastructure projects in water, sanitation, ports, railroad, and so forth. And those projects are now continuing in the Operation Vulundlela, the second phase that has been launched. Issues of growth has been highlighted as one of the reasons why South Africa remain in the sub-investment grade, that really we need to come up with measures in order to ensure that this economy starts to grow at a much higher rate. For example, now we do expect that growth will be at just over 1% for this year. Still very, very low levels of growth to deal with the very high unemployment rate that South Africa is currently facing. And of course, government has indicated that they've come up with some of the initiatives, like, for example, youth employment incentives that many companies have embraced, but also we're not seeing much in terms of accelerating economic growth that we are seeing. So there will be a lot of also interest in looking at the actual numbers that coming out of the budget in terms of frontline services that government has actually prioritized in order to ensure that they continue to protect the poor. We already know that almost more than 60% of this budget goes into those frontline services in terms of grants, education, safety and security, on all other social services that government is offering to alleviate poverty among poor households. And government has been quite firm to ensure that they will not tinker with those provisions in the budget. Question is, what is it that they're going to have to move around? Are they going to ensure that we are starting to see maybe perhaps the middle class could also see some of the cost going up? Those provisions like for the fuel tax, the levy on fuel, that could also go up to plug in the gap that we have seen due to the decision not to increase VAT. But definitely there will have to be some of the things that are moved around, probably some increases in taxes one way or another. We do need money in the fiscus, and the only source and reliable source of revenue to come in is through taxes.
All right, Tshepo, thanks very much. And yeah, we look forward to your coverage throughout the day in the run-up to the budget announcement that will happen at 2 o'clock this afternoon. You can watch it here on SABC News Live.